We're now going to have a look at something new on the iMedia specifications, and that's flowcharts. But before we look at this flowchart, let's just have a look at what the symbols represent. So a flowchart is a diagram that breaks down an algorithm into sequence steps. This is one for the computer scientists, but it's quite easy to understand if we have a look at a media example. So we have what some people call the sausage shape. Mathematicians would call that an oval, and that's start and stop. A parallelogram, which is an input-output. A process, which is a rectangle. A decision, which is a diamond. And we have lines and arrows which connect it together. So let's have a look at an example now of a flowchart using a media context. So the oval pops on and we start. And the arrow drops down to a decision. Has the graphic designer finished a logo? So we've got a graphic designer making a logo at the moment. If he hasn't, so if it's a no, it just loops around. So if you look at this, it starts, it just loops and loops and loops in a circle here until something changes. And that change is yes, and it then goes to the client. Is the client happy with the design? If the client is not happy with the design, we set a 24-hour deadline for a developed logo. So we've got 1 day to redesign the logo, and then it goes back up to here again. So we follow this line up to the top, and then we ask the question again. Has the graphic designer finished the logo? And it just loops and loops and loops until he's finished it. And this time, is the client happy with the design? If it's a yes, we publish the logo, and then we could actually have another box underneath if I had space, which was a stop. But publishing the logo would be fine. So we have a few questions. These are the kind of questions you might get in an exam. What happens if the client is not happy with the design? So have a think about that. The answer is, if the client is not happy with the design, we go to no, and it's set a 24-hour deadline. What happens when the graphic designer finishes a logo? Is the client happy with the design? So here, once the graphic designer's finished a logo, it drops down to here, and it says the client then happy with the design. Two things that need to happen to publish the logo. Well, it's the two things mentioned. So the graphic designer finishes the logo, then the client is happy, and then we're ready to publish. And what is the process in the flowchart? So if you think back to the symbols, the process was a rectangle, and the rectangle is set a 24-hour deadline for a developed logo. So the diamond is the decision, the oval start and stop, the parallelogram is an input-output. Hope you've enjoyed that quick tutorial on flowcharts. Get using these, they're good fun to do, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.